Thumbnail. Through rain and storm and dark of night. August 8th, 12 p.m. Sheet lightning played across the sky, and the resulting thunderclaps seemed to shake loose even more rain. The wire slipped in the pliers, and a barb penetrated both John's glove and his left thumb. "Son of a bitch," he cursed. "I'm sick and tired of being wet. If I have to fix this blasted fence once more time, I'll just shoot the damn goats and eat them." He pulled off his glove and critically examined his thumb. "Damn glad I had a tetanus booster last year, and I'm further damn glad that Anne can't hear me, or I'd get yet another lecture on my damn language and its impact on the development of my children. Thank you, Lord, for sparing me that." He grabbed the broken strand of barbed wire with the fence pliers again, giving it a savage pull and wrapping it around the post, and held it so that his dad could nail it in place. "This rain's getting to me too, son," he admonished gently. "But we've just got to tough it out. You need to get a grip on your temper. This last day or two you've been putting the wind up in Anne and the kids. This rain can't last forever." "Well, why shouldn't the wind get up them? It's for darn sure getting up everything else," John retorted, feeling embarrassed. He continued, Okay, I'll work on taking the edge off my tongue. It'd be a lot easier if I could ever feel dry again. It seems like we spend so much time out in the rain, it's about washed all the coping out of me. This is the 4th time we've had to fix fence since impact. And the porch roof, the barn roof, the hen house, workshop, Mike's house, and his barn, and Ed's house. And just as soon as we get inside, I'll be some other doggone thing that has to be attended to right away. Might as well go naked for all the good wearing any kind of rain gear does. He let the rest of his frustration out with a long sigh. The fence once again fixed, the 2 men picked up the chainsaw they'd used to cut up the tree that had fallen across the wire, and the other tools, and slogged their way across the pasture to the gate, and then onto the workshop. It was impact plus 7 days, and it had not stopped raining since. The salt rain had ended on the first day, and what was now coming down was fresh. Sources at the University of Florida reported that 46 inches of rain had fallen during this time, along with high winds and intense lightning. Rainfall, wind speed, and electrical activity were slowly diminishing, but no one could predict when normal weather would return. Back in the workshop, they cleaned and oiled the wet equipment, then made their way back into the house. Smoke rose from the stack, and they could smell coffee. When they had shed their slickers on the back porch and stepped through the door, Anne handed them both steaming cups. "Bless you," John cried. "You are surely a queen among wives." Anne smiled and said, "Lunch will be ready as soon as the cornbread is done. The news just came on the radio if you want to listen." John and Robert walked over to the Sony on the kitchen table and turned it up as they sat to the table. The U.S. Geological Survey released a statement today that it has now been firmly established that the tsunami of last Saturday was indeed caused by the slippage of a large section of the island of La Palma in the Canary Islands along a previously known fissure. Experts feel this slippage was induced by the shock of the initial impact of the asteroid, followed later by the tsunami it produced. Damage and casualty levels of both tsunami series are still being determined, with work being seriously hampered by the still violent weather resulting from the asteroid strike. Preliminary casualty figures for the state of Florida are projected to be 1,200,000, with the majority being in the greater Miami area. But authorities caution this figure may be drastically revised up or down as more complete data comes in. The Public Affairs Officer of the newly established East Coast Rescue and Recovery Command reports that the preliminary aerial survey of the tsunami-stricken eastern seaboard have largely been completed. Initial reports indicate the tsunamis did not reach as far as was initially feared, and in many areas penetrated inland to only a distance of 200 miles. Major river valleys were more seriously stricken, with most showing damage all the way to the Piedmont areas. This smaller area of devastation has raised hopes that the nationwide casualty figure may be kept to 40 million deaths or less. Rescue and recovery commanders emphasize that a full and complete survey of the damage and casualty figures will take months. On the West Coast, California Emergency Service authorities continue to dig through the rubble of the 7.3 earthquake which struck Southern California last week within hours of the impact. Seismological experts state that the ground shock of the asteroid striking the Earth is responsible for the quake, but emphasize that stresses had been building along the southern San Andreas fault line for decades and that it was near to releasing on its own. Casualties attributed to the quake are moderate at 157. 27 were reported dead from the tsunami that struck the next day as a hydrological pressure wave made its journey across the world's oceans. Missing persons from both disasters are reported to be 321, with many feared to be remaining in the stadium collapse rubble. A spokesperson for the Midwestern FEMA region states that casualties for the 6.1 earthquake along the New Madrid fault line have been moderate, with 23 dead, 46 missing. All Mississippi and Ohio River bridges remain closed as safety inspections are carried out. Emergency water releases through the Tennessee Valley Authority dams continues to relieve pressure on the dams possibly weakened by the quake as the record-breaking rains continue to fall. Residents along the affected waterways are being evacuated as water levels rise. Locally, Gainesville Regional Utilities report that both of their generating plants have been inspected and found to be in safe working condition, although only the coal-fired Deer Haven plant is running due to the disruption in the flow of natural gas pipelines. Frequent local outages will continue for the duration of the violent weather, but spokesmen stress that repair crews will be on continuous duty to restore power as necessary. There will be more news at the top of the 1 o'clock hour. This is Classic 88.4 FM, a radio service of the University of Florida. John looked at his dad and said, "Well, it's the worst disaster in recorded history, but it seems the Union still stands. What's left of it anyways. That cornbread sure smells good. Anne's really gotten the hang of that wood stove." The overhead lights flickered and came on. Robert smiled at the sight and said, "Maybe it'll stay on long enough for us all to get a hot shower. We'd better get the batteries on the chargers while the power lasts." The rain droned on. Hey, good night. That's going to be it for tonight. Thank you. Yahweh bless. And we will see you tomorrow night. This is Jerry Diamond. If you're listening to this, you are the remnant.